If Twitter is ever gonna be happy, now better be the time. Hey, what's going on, you guys? My name is the Raptor, and next time on Death Battle, things are bound to get explosive in more ways than one. We have Da Bomb versus Da Bully. Now, as amused as I was when I first saw this episode's reveal, I can't really say it's something I'm over the moon with. Not because of the matchup itself necessarily, I personally don't really care about it that much, and it's not taking the place of a different Bakugo matchup that I really wanted instead, but more so because of its conception, and the fact that this battle actually happening is likely to restart a lot of the slander and maintaining stupid agendas, which was all around it a few months ago. Don't get me wrong, there are some things in this community I can find funny, but that sort of stuff is never included, nor do I find it at all entertaining or beneficial. You can enjoy it if you want, you just can't make me play along. So assuming that Death Battle does indeed look at this matchup genuinely, although I'm still the smallest bit concerned about that, I will be looking at it the same way here. I don't like that this idea basically started as a slander matchup, but then again there are some other matchups that started in similar ways, like Simoun versus Kyle, so I'm still gonna roll with this, and I'm just gonna hope that Death Battle treats it with respect and makes something fun out of it. So let's start with Bakugo, because as far as general stats go, it's pretty easy to tell around how Death Battle will analyze him. We all know about Bakugo's fight with All For One close to the end of the series, and while you could argue that Bakugo's strength and speed shouldn't be exactly on his level because his quirk isn't supposed to be as powerful, taking him on at all means it's gotta be close enough just for the sake of determining who scales higher in general between him and Reze. For speed, it's gotta be somewhere within the faster than light range, and even if we scale him to just a fraction of One For All's power, by Death Battle's own accord, that would be approaching small country level. You could absolutely scale his power and durability far higher if you want to put it closer to One For All, whether by using Death Battle's numbers or not, but this gives us a pseudo bare minimum just in case we really need it. Reze, on the other hand, is a little trickier just because it depends on how well you think she can scale to other characters. Being the bomb devil hybrid, she's not the strongest devil to exist in Chainsaw Man, and is more often than not portrayed as a step below Makima as far as physical capability goes. But if we say she scales close enough for the sake of general estimates, this would make her approach or be around city level, based off of feats like the Typhoon Devil's city spanning storm, and be within the massively hypersonic range for speed thanks to the Gun Devil fragment and Denji's own progress at various points in time. And I think we can already see that this is nowhere near where Bakugo would realistically have to be as far as power, speed, and blunt durability. The best that you could potentially argue for Makima is that she's on a primordial devil level of power. She was at least able to match the Darkness Devil for a time, but that was strictly by using her telekinetic bangs, and there's really no evidence that Reze's biggest explosions are comparable to that specific ability's output. And even then, you would need to jump through a lot of hoops to try to say that that should surpass Bakugo. You essentially need every single benefit of the doubt for Reze scaling and use the lowest end reasonable for Bakugo in order to argue that, and without all of that, she's just so much weaker. And what's depressing is that she actually has a few advantages or useful traits of her own, but would only be able to matter if the stats were close enough. For one thing, her regenerative ability is kinda crazy, to the point where she can regrow damn near any part of her body, including her own head. The problem though is that this can only last so long before she needs to ingest blood to keep it up, and in most cases she's just not gonna get enough of that from anywhere before being worn down eventually, especially considering Bakugo's own impressive stamina and pain tolerance. It's not going to get to the point where Bakugo overuses his quirk before anything like that happens, and while you can pull Reze's grenade pin to bring her back to life, someone else needs to do that after she dies. She's also a very well-trained assassin, and I wouldn't be surprised if she technically holds the hand-to-hand fighting fighting skill advantage, which again would be great for Reze if the stats were decently even, but if you're trying to argue that something like that can overturn such huge gaps, like, it just can't. Like, I don't know how else to say it. They use their respective explosions in some similar ways, such as propelling themselves through the air or blowing shit up. I would argue that Bakugo has more individual techniques than Reze, and thus making him slightly more unpredictable, and the use of his nitroglycerin sweat to make his booms would probably make them hotter than Reze's own, but again, these are things that ultimately wouldn't matter that much when put next to everything else. Reze is definitely more manipulative and less impulsive, but Bakugo's use of battle strategy should be better, and I'm sorry, but no, Bakugo taking on the Bomb Devil, or in this case the Bomb Devil hybrid, aka the entity made from the collective fear of bombs, wouldn't pose any real threat to him here. Reze would not be fueled by Bakugo's own fear of explosions, because it's very clear he doesn't have any, and devils are not immune to the thing that they personify, otherwise Reze wouldn't be able to blow herself up, Denji wouldn't be able to cut himself with his chainsaws, etc. And of course, the Bomb Devil reincarnating later would not count as continuing the fight. I honestly don't have much else to say at this point, other than talking things out has actually kind of made me less excited, if anything. Like I said, I really don't like that this matchup basically exists because Twitter thought they were being funny, and that still seems like it's the main reason why this is happening, because the connections don't really do anything, and the debate is basically the same as Shigaraki versus Mahito, with a similar stat difference and easier questions to answer. I guess they could also be doing it to cash in on the Reze arc movie and My Hero Academia ending, although I do find it a little weird that this is like the third episode to cash in on that latter reason, but you know, obviously I'll still watch it. I'm sure it could still look cool as hell. Just don't expect me to engage in too much extra discourse for this one, because I anticipate the ways that a lot of people are going to try to enjoy that are the things that I very much will not enjoy. That's just me though. But to recap, they're even in one or two ways, and Reze does have some good traits like survivability and assassination training, but given equal leeway for scaling their stats, I just can't see Reze getting close enough to Bakugo's speed, and especially not his power and blunt durability. If Reze had some kind of hackier arsenal, or didn't require blood for healing after a while, then I think we could have had a much more interesting discussion on our hands, but as it stands right now, nothing Reze has is frankly good enough for stats to not be the deciding factor. So, as boring as it is, assuming that Death Battle's not playing jokes here, because it would be stupid to assume that they are, then I just gotta go with Great Explosion Murder God Dynamite on this one. But of course, you let me know what you think down in the comments below, like this video and subscribe if you want to see more stuff from me, and huge thanks to our channel members. You can click the join button below if you want to see the perks we're offering. But otherwise, yeah, that's it for me. I will see all of you guys in the next video. Peace out.